I'm just here to tell you, anybody who's listening to this that's struggling, like, you can get out. Like, the beauty of this thing is, like, how you're feeling right now, you don't ever have to feel that way again. And I know that to be true. Mm-hmm. You guys know that to be true, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I just didn't think that it was possible for me. And then I had structure and I had community. And then the piece that I think is so crucial. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how old you are, what gender you are, how far gone you are, you got to find a fitness component. Like,
mind, body, soul.
We're all about that part too.
Yeah. It saved and saves my life.
An entrepreneur straight out of New York City, Michael Chernow. What's cracking?
Michael, welcome to the Hopeaholics Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Unfortunately, you're probably your cortisol level has spiked considering you came from Los Angeles.
I think my cortisol is definitely at it's like at a nice high place, you know.
I mean, was the traffic bad?
Oh yeah.
The traffic was miserable getting out of LA, and then as soon as I got some like roadway, I was doing like 98.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
I mean, that's the thing. You can either drive really fast on our freeways around here,
yeah,
or you're in stop and go.
Yeah, totally.
And the stop and go never makes any sense.
Well, I was actually pretty surprised that like I was doing like 80, and I was like, cars were like, and I'm like, fuck this. I'm going for it, you know? And I just like put it down, and it was pretty awesome the whole way.
That's how we drive out here. I was in she lives in Texas, but my son's at Baylor in Texas, and when you fly into Dallas, it's a pretty far drive to Waco. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a solid hour 45.
Yeah.
And I always get like, you know, just like a 6-banger car. But man, people drive crazy in Texas. Like people, there's like regular drivers that just drive regular speed, and they're always kind of like scattered, right? But then there's everybody else that drives crazy, and they're just like boom, 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 and it's like swerving in and out. So I'm like driving like the people that drive crazy because that's just how I would rather drive than drive slow. And I'm in like some rental car that's got like, I always feel like I'm in a golf cart because I drive like a Denali.
Totally.
A Tahoe.
Yeah, I moved out of New York City in the beginning of the pandemic. And
Smart.
In like 2012, I bought a sick property 2.5 hours north of New York City.
Oh, okay.
Like big piece of land. And we would use it on the weekends. And in 2012, there was nobody from New York City up there. I was just like, Donna, like, to my wife, let's get a spot that's like just rural, super out of the way, because she basically shook me one day, and I was building my restaurant sort of world, and she was like, I love you a lot, and I was like, I love you too, and she was like, I'm just gonna let you know that this shit is not sustainable. Like, it is just not sustainable. The amount she was like, I don't even know you, and I was like, are you saying like you're like thinking about? And she's like, no, but I'm just telling you that like, this is not sustainable. We can't build a long-term relationship if this is what it's going to be, because I'm alone all the time. And I was like, you're fucking right. And we need to get me out of New York City. Like, because I'm such an alcoholic and an addict. And like at that point in my life, I was just building my first business. And so I just dove deep into business hard. Mm-hmm. You know, I had no idea what I was doing. And I just thought like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. So as long as I'm there all the time,
sure,
I'll figure it out. Or it'll at least look like I know what I'm doing, you know?
Right.
And it was just the wrong approach. But I do think kind of like the approach a lot of young entrepreneurs take, where it's just like you don't understand how to be efficient with your time.
Oh, sure.
You know, so you just like, you're there all day, all night.
Sure.
Like just in it, you know? And so we bought this house upstate, and it was like an absolute game changer for our relationship. But when the pandemic hit, we decided that we were just going to pack up Brooklyn and just go move up there. And I never thought, you know, that I would be like a country bumpkin. I just didn't know I had it in me, you know?
Yeah.
But I was very wrong. Like, I love it there. I love it there, and I would never move back down to New York City unless, you know, maybe in my 60s, you know? Like,
sure.
but it's very slow paced, man. Nobody's driving fast. It's just like 55 on the Taconic, and like if you're going 60, like you run a good chance of getting pulled over. You know?
Oh yeah. That's kind of like Jonathan and myself. We live in Texas, and it's the same thing. There's like a road to get to our place, and 55 is like the speed limit, and if you're going above that, you're for sure you're asking to get pulled over 100%. And once you turn off of that, it's, you're in, kind of rural roads, and it's country life.
Yeah, country. I mean, I just didn't think that it was me. I didn't, but I it's so interesting that you can acclimate pretty quickly.
Oh, sure.
Especially, I think having a family is like made it a lot easier for me to quickly acclimate. Mm-hmm. But now, like, I'm hooked on hunting and all sorts of shit that I just didn't know was in me.
Yeah.
I've never been hunting, but she hunts.
I love hunting.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
Hunting season opens in a week, and I'm just like, I got like 7 cams on my property. I got my buck. Like, I know where that motherfucker is.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We got 2 this season. So I wouldn't really call myself like a hunter, because it's only been my 3rd season. But I love it. I love it for many aspects. One, obviously, that's like the cleanest meat you could possibly get.
The best.
I know where it is coming from. But all the other things that go into it, from you're really like out in nature, and it's the time where you really even if I wanted to have my phone, I have my phone to take photos of like wherever I'm at, but there's no service. So you have to really be locked in and present, and then really enjoy all of the things that you're actually experiencing and seeing, and then obviously the camaraderie of your camp and things of that nature, of who you're out there hunting with.
Next year you're not allowed to go without a Starlink, though. I'm sorry.
For real.
I'm telling
real.
you, like
game changer.
Yep.
I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew I had a lot of deer on my property, and I knew a lot of guys in my area were hunters.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's it. I'm buying the gear. I'm getting the gun. I'm practicing. And then I just, like, what I can't wait for is, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning every single day of hunting season, and I get dressed super quiet so I don't wake anybody up. And then I just walk out into the woods, and I've got a spot. I've got 2 spots, but I got one main spot that's just like, there's like a bunch of down trees that I kind of just fit right in there.
Oh, sure.
And I just sit in quiet. It's crazy. It's like the only time where I feel like my brain really is like stimulated enough by what I'm doing to shut it down and not like obsess about the phone or
What's the rules in that part of New York and hunting, and what's the length, and how much are you allowed to kill?
Well, typically you get a tag for a buck and a doe and a bear.
And a bear.
So you typically, I'm not I have no interest in killing a bear. I'm just not there yet. Who knows? Maybe down the road. I know a lot of hunters that, do. But you get a buck, and then if you apply for this kind of lottery thing, they give you a doe, and there's no real size, like regulation. But like if you see a Bambi, it doesn't make sense to shoot that, Yeah. So I'm always, I let a lot of deer go because I just know that, I'm doing it for the meat. I mean, I'm doing it for the hunt because I love the hunt.
For sure.
Last season, when I shot my buck, I went back to the house and I said to my wife, don't say anything. I'm doing this. And I grabbed my 2 boys and I brought them out with me. Nice. And I dressed the deer with them.
Oh, wow.
And they sat and watched in awe,
Yep.
I took the heart out and I like put it in my son's hands, and I was like, let's pray over this animal because this animal is going to feed us for the next 4 months, And it was just like a moment where I was like, wow, this is real. This is like, it's pretty awesome.
It is. It's definitely something where I do feel that regardless of if you want to get into hunting or not, it's an experience I think that everybody should, especially if you eat meat, should experience at least one time, because it is a weird,
sacred. There's like a sacred component to it.
It is.
I feel like if you eat meat, and I haven't gone hunting, I'm totally down to do it. But if you you can't really say anything bad about hunting if you eat meat. Mm-hmm. If you're a meat eater.
I agree. If you're going to the grocery store
and you're buying yourself meat, some cow, some ground beef. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You go to a restaurant, you have some tacos. Mm-hmm. I mean,
steak.
Yeah.
No one's really giving me any shit for hunting. I mean, I've posted a couple of things on social, and there's going to be some haters out there.
She gets a little bit.
Yeah, there's going to be haters, but at the end of the day, it's like, look, I eat this meat.
Yeah.
This meat is like, I'm doing it definitely. I love it.
Do you ever cook it though on like, so post your kill, post your cook. Mm-hmm. Have you done that? Do you do that?
Like show like
maybe you made a steak or
Oh hell yeah! I mean I'm like a trained chef.
So exactly. I was just gonna get into
all day, and people are like, for whatever reason, people are scared of venison. The craziest thing about that is venison is like, in my opinion, it is the best tasting. It's lean as hell, but it has this like sweetness component to it that when you get a good sear on a piece of venison, or you make a venison burger, and you take a venison burger next to a beef burger, or a bison burger, there's just no comparison.
Yeah,
it is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is so good. And I just love the process. I love the process of it. I think at heart, like, I'm really a hunter. Like, I think hunting in general, just like I'm a hunter of life. I feel like curiosity has been just like a big component to like the things that I've done over the years. Mm-hmm. And so when I decided to take it upon myself to teach myself how to hunt,
which is wild, by the way.
I was like, this is it.
What'd you do? YouTube it?
I did.
Yeah.
I YouTubed everything.
Smart.
All of it.
Yeah.
Everything. From the gear that I got, from the gun that I bought, the whole thing, dude.
Yeah.
Everything. How to dress it. I still when I'm dressing the deer, I'm got the YouTube. I'm like, all right, let me just make sure I'm not gonna nick this thing.
And,
Yeah, because you could fuck it up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like if you nick the innards like as you're coming up the torso, there's a good chance that you spoil the meat, so you don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that.
And the craziest thing is like, when you dress a deer and you shoot the deer in the right place, which is basically like right under the shoulder blade, kind of where you want to enter. Yeah. When you dress the deer, there is no blood if you do it right. Like there'll be blood in the cavity from the wound, but like you don't get like blood everywhere.
Right,
it's like clean and
It's that's why I'm saying it's like an experience that everyone should have, because it is totally not what you would think that it would be. Totally. Just because from all aspects, from the gear to the pack out to the dressing to the experience, from like a spiritual to all of the above, and then to be able to harvest it and then have your freezer full and then be able to prepare it and nourish your body with like the meat that you like literally physically went and got is just wild.
Totally.
What do you kill with?
I use a rifle. Yeah.
Which?
I bought a new rifle last year and it's called a Tactica. Okay. It's I'm spacing the name of the actual model, but it was highly recommended. I was shooting a Remington 308.
Okay.
And so now the new gun that I have is I think it's a 280, and it's just a powerful, unbelievably precise gun in comparison to the Remington that I had. The Remington was like, my wife actually bought me that gun.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful gun, but this thing is just like, it's a totally different experience. Like when I sight that gun in, I have to make very few adjustments. It's just so.
Which is another component of hunting too, is like your sights. Like, yes, you can buy your gun, but then if you don't have your optic that has the sight to see what you're shooting, good luck. But that was another learning curve that my husband and I, had a process of going through. I think I shot my first elk with a 300 Win Mag Bagara, and then I went second season. I used the 6.5 PRC from Christensen Arms, and then this season I did Christensen Arms 300 Win Mag. 300 Win Mag is definitely a nice, powerful round that I feel is, and the Christensen is pretty sick. It's just, and it's so light because all those things are huge components when you're out hiking and putting in some miles.
Totally.
Is I'm carrying that rifle. So if it's really heavy and your pack and all the things, it does make a big significant difference from your pack out to just the physicality that is required to
Yeah, my new
handle.
gun is also like insanely light. It is insanely light. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's
Yeah,
weird how
right.
light it is, because when I put it up to my shoulder, I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is super duper light. You know?
And then if you add a suppressor component to it, money. Like the suppressor we used this year was from Alley Cat, so shout out to them, because that thing, not only is it light, but I didn't even shoot with ears on, like nothing.
We will now take a commercial break for Christensen Arms and
Yeah, I know, right?
what was it? Alley Cat?
Alley Cat
And
with
suppressor.
suppressor. It's sick. I know.
went in
For
on it.
real. I know.
Went
Sorry.
in. No,
It's exciting. It's like fun.
She literally
I
is
love it.
sponsored by
Like,
Christensen Arms,
yeah.
though, so like
That's true. But
it's doing a commercial break for
it's fun because you I think people have a misconception of one. It's not like you have social media where you're just posting like the animal and it's like, oh my gosh, a trophy. Where it's really not about that. It's like so much more that is required for you to even get that animal, and you can only have one tag. So like, and also too, if you have your one tag and say that I wound the animal, I'm done. I don't get to go shoot whatever I see. It's like, if you don't make that kill on that specific animal, then you're not harvesting that season. And you go home
I'm dying
empty.
to go elk hunting. That is a dream. It's a dream of mine. I haven't gone elk hunting, and I just know that that's a totally different beast.
Oh,
you know, like
it's
I'm
wild.
dying to do it.
It's
really.
it's the next one I think on the list is to do one with a bow. That's another animal, because you're how close you are to these like majestical creatures, because they are, once you're like looking at them and your binos and everything, is nuts.
Do you shoot bow now?
I learned from Cam Haynes, so shout out to him, and Wayne from the Bow Rack, savages, and been hunting forever. So I think I learned from like
The best.
top, so that way I wouldn't make you don't learn any bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have not practiced nearly enough to feel confident or comfortable enough to go try a bow, because you're so close to the animal that I'm like tripping. Like, I'm not doing it until I feel super dialed, and because you're 20 yards, like, and then your adrenaline in your heart and like all the things that actually come about when you're about to make, take the shot or with the bow. So not remotely there yet,
Yeah,
but I have a bow.
I just bought a Hoyt bow.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
Shout out to Hoyt.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a this is the Hopeaholics, not a hunting podcast, but
Are you going to try to shoot a
go
bear with one? Yeah, like the Can Haynes does bears.
he does. He recommended my first bow to be a bear, but we're just not there yet. I'm like terrified of bears, and you got to crawl before you can walk. So we're still crawling.
This year I bought the bow with the commitment, like before walking into the store, I was like, all right, dude, if you're gonna go buy a bow, you're not gonna take that bow out for at least a year. And that's not like, oh yeah, half-ass year.
Sure.
That's a year where you're putting time on the bow at least 3 days a week.
Yeah,
Where you
reps.
are just comfortable with that thing.
Totally.
And when you go out, you're not like, oh, am I going to hit this thing?
You're super,
I think a year is probably the minimum amount of time, like focused,
I think
to be able to go for it.
I think so. A full, like, committed and dialed and doing the reps and the practice and all the things. But wait, let's circle back into like, okay, chef, restaurant, to even becoming sober, all of the things. We want to know it all. So
Sure.
how did your journey into actually realizing that you had a problem to begin with?
So I'll just bring it back. I mean, I grew up in New York City, and kind of in the, the center of it all, really. You know, when I was born in 1980. And I didn't really experience much of New York City in the 80s because I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. But I had a pretty rough and tumble household. My father was mentally ill, physically ill, and incredibly violent and aggressive and abusive. And, you know, we lived in a small apartment, 600 square foot apartment. And my father was unfortunately, as his mental illness evolved, he became a hoarder. So it was like really difficult in the apartment. And as I got older, the violence didn't really start until I was probably 11 or so with my dad. But like the verbal and the fear that I had for him started really young. And so that kind of propelled me to want to become an escape artist, like little Houdini, every opportunity I could. And so escaping for me started with really going to friends' houses and sleeping over. And I remember pretty clearly there was this kid, Ross Delafield, who I grew up with, who was like kind of one of my best friends in the early elementary school. And he invited me over to his house, and I stayed for dinner. And his family sat around a table to eat dinner together. And my family had never done that. I'd never sat around a table to have dinner. And I was like, oh my gosh, this feels like the TV shows. You know what I mean? I was like, this actually happens. And I was like, I really like this. And I have to be able to convince Ross's parents to like me. Like I've got to figure out how to make them like me so I can be here as often as possible. And that's kind of where my manipulation began in my life. That's when I knew that I was like having that thought. I didn't know it at the time, of course, but now reflecting back on it, like that is where my master manipulation skill set started in trying to make my friends' parents really like me. So I would chameleon myself into these situations to really have the ability to progress and get what I wanted, And so because my mother was a secretary, my father was basically on permanent disability and totally just not interested in being a part of anything. My mom worked until 7 every night, and I was put into after-school programs. And so sport was like what I did. And I was kind of just like this natural athlete. And I dove deep into sports in New York City, which is, there's not like crazy sports programs there, right? Like you're not playing football in New York City. But, I got into street hockey. I got into soccer. But I really excelled at hockey. And I was always kind of the young kid. And I always went to the park, like, as often as I could to play, which was almost every day, into the dark, as it got dark. And those kids were really up to no good, even though we all played hockey together and this thing, like they were just up to no good. So I was kind of influenced by these older kids, and I was probably like 10, 11. And things just got worse and worse in my house. And so before I met drugs and alcohol, I met suicidal ideation, and like I would think about it, but I just didn't have the balls to like do anything until one day where I was 12, and my father and I got into a pretty bad battle, and I was like, that's it. I'm going to show this, Can I curse on this thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just like, I'm going to show him how badly he's hurting me. And I grabbed a scissor and I said, come into my bedroom. Do you want to be like, I was like, fuck you, come into my bedroom. And he came into the bedroom, and right in front of him, I just went, boom.
Oh, shit.
Boom, and I just sliced my wrists open. And I think for me, it wasn't like I want to die. For me, it was, I just want this man to hug me. I want this guy to see how bad he has made me feel about myself, so much so that I'm like ready to just call it quits. And I don't think my father had, and I'll talk about later. I mean, I've had some crazy experiences with my father after he died, but I don't think my father had the tools to understand that. Like, I think he just came over and just kicked the shit out of me. And so I went to school the next day. They saw that I had, I didn't go deep enough to kill myself, but they saw that I had, bandages around my wrists. And I was already in with the social workers at this point, And so they were like, what happened? And I was like, if I tell them, I know it's going to get bad, But But I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to tell him. I was like, I cut my wrist last night in front of my father, and he kicked the shit out of me. And they immediately called child services. And so child services got involved, and, you know, they showed up in my house, and my sister and I were sharing a bedroom in super tight quarters. I was 12, she was 13. And child services were like, this can't happen. These kids at this age can't, you know, of opposite sex can't share a small, tiny bedroom like this. And so my mother and father were like, all right, well, we're going to put you on the couch. And I was like, I mean, I barely sleep here anyway. Like, I'm happy to tell the child services that, but you can, you know, kind of kiss me goodbye at this point, you know? And that's when I had smoked weed for the first time. And when I did that, I was like, oh my God, this is it. I don't need to hide in hockey. I don't need to go anywhere. I figured it out. I licked it. I figured it out. I'm just going to stay high all the time. Mm-hmm. And very quickly, that weed escalated to psychedelics. Psychedelics escalated to crystal meth. And by the time I was 14 years old, I was a full-fledged addict. And it wasn't like any one specific thing. It was everything. Anything. I was not afraid. You know, I was just not afraid. And at this point, every time I was home, my father and I would get into a brutal fist fight for the most part. And I had basically resignated that, like, I hated this man and I don't give a fuck, and they can't do anything to keep me down. Like, I don't remember saying I'm going to rebel, but it was basically just like, you have no idea what you guys created, you know? And my mother, who I love and I know loves me, she was a loving woman, but she was abused. She was diagnosed with something called abused wife syndrome, because my father was very abusive towards her as well. She just she wasn't able to cope. She literally told me that she thought he was going to kill her if she left. And so it just got real ugly. And at 15 years old, we got into another banger, and the neighbor called the cops. The cop shows up, and child services, anytime the cops were called to my house, child services were right behind them. And child services, you know, my mother had found I was selling drugs at that point. My mother found a bunch of drugs in my bedroom. And my father used that as an excuse when the cops showed up to say, take that fucking kid away. He's a drug addict. He's a drug dealer. He's a criminal. Like, get him out of this house. Get him out. We want him out. And my mother was crying. I was crying. Child services were like, if you don't take this kid out of here or have him leave, we're taking him to foster care now. And I heard that. And I was like, foster care in my head. I was like, you know, this is going to be a catch me if you can kind of situation. Like, I'm out. I'm done. Like, I'm not dealing with this. And that was it. You know, I like packed my shit and I just left, and I never moved back in. And I was just like this crazy New York City street kid, you know, like if you've ever seen that movie Kids, like that was kind of like what it was like for me. And I got into a lot of trouble, and the kind of party drugs very quickly became just alcohol and cocaine, and then alcohol and crack. And then when that got really dark, I introduced pills. And when I was like 19 years old, I was living in an apartment in Lower East Side, and I was in over my head with the amount of, you know, drugs I was moving and selling. And these guys came into my apartment, put a gun in my mouth, duct tape, pistol whipped me, threw me in the bathtub, you know, duct tape my mouth, duct tape my arms, my feet. And it was 3 dudes, and I was like, that's it. These dudes are gonna murk me. Like, I was like, you know, because there were 2 safes that were bolted into the ground in the apartment in 2 different closets. And they were like, give us the combinations to the safes. And I just knew that if they got into those safes, I was dead anyway, you know, because there was just too much product in there for me to come back from. And the guys who owned the product were just not guys, you know, I wanted to really fuck with. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so I wasn't giving them the combination to the safe, and I was like, this is gonna go down in a really bad way. But then I just had this thought, and I was like, it's a Friday afternoon at 4:00. Like, these guys aren't gonna shoot me, you know? And then luckily my roommate like came into the apartment, and within 30 seconds, they had him yoked up. But at that point, I think they were just scared and they kind of just like, they beat it. But that was just a moment for me where I was like, oh my God, I really got to move out of this neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Things aren't looking good.
Yeah, I was like, I got to move out of this neighborhood. I wasn't like, oh my God, like, what are you, like, this, you created this, Mike. You know, like, you created this. This is your fucking problem. And so that didn't stop me. So I moved to LA. I was like, all right, I'm going to move to LA, you know, and I'm going to try to get my shit together in LA. I went to one AA meeting out here, locked eyes with this girl in the AA meeting, and her and I were just off to the races, you know, and I got into a lot of trouble here in LA. You know, I just like really.
Was this like 20? Were you 20 yet?
I was 19, 20. Yeah.
Is this like 1999 as well?
99.
Wow.
Yeah, 99.
What about your sister during all of this?
So interestingly, my sister witnessed all this. My sister took some of the heat, but very little in comparison to me. Like my father was not nice, you know, but he did not, like, he never raised a hand to my sister, you know. My father took a lot of his anger out on me, you know. Interestingly, I'm in therapy and I'm starting EMDR therapy.
Oh, okay.
And it's hard because I feel like I've disassociated a lot from those days in my life.
Sure.
Even from a young kid, like I have like, you know, little blinks and blaps of memory, but not clear. And so the therapist was like, let's try to recall like a really, 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 really bad moment in your life, and let's bring it back. And I was able to pull off a few of them. And then she asked me the same question after I was like, I'm just having a hard time. Like, I just can't like lock into a specific memory. Outside of like the time that the cops came and the child services came. And I remember being on the floor, like with my head in my hands. And, I was like, would you mind if we call my sister to just get her on here and see if she can remember some of this stuff? And interestingly enough, my sister disassociated too. She can't remember a lot, you know. She was like, I know that he was very rarely home, and when he was home, it was all chaos. It was all hell broke loose, and my father and him would just battle. But anyway, I moved to LA, and you know, I wrecked a motorcycle, wrecked 2 cars, just was not good for me. Came back to New York for Christmas, and my father died on that trip.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was young, and he just, you know, he was just an unhealthy dude, and he died on Christmas Eve. He had a massive seizure, and we took him to the hospital, and he never came out. And so that for me was like just the most epic excuse to just go absolute ham. And I never went back to LA. I literally left. I mean, it wasn't anything fancy, but I had a Honda CRV. I left the Honda. I left my shit, my clothes. I just did not come back. You know, I just did not come back. And at that point, I was only sleeping on couches anyway. So,
how old were you at that time?
20.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 20.
So you lost your dad at 20.
Yeah. And so at that point, I was back in New York. I began to get very violent, and I began to get like the anger, like it had sort of come to a tipping point for me where I just really, it was like I hated myself so much. I couldn't get out. I knew I had a problem. I knew about sobriety, but I didn't know it was possible for me. I just didn't think it was possible for me because I'm this unique motherfucker, right? Like just
Terminally,
totally.
terminally unique, right?
Yeah, like it's not. It can't help me.
Yeah.
You don't know what I've been through.
Yeah, you got no idea.
Yeah, you have no clue.
So I just took it to the next level. You know, I took it to the next level, and I was hanging out with a lot of bad kids, and I was going on runs for days, and just like, I mean, I was just fully transparent. Like, my piss was brown. My shit was water. I hadn't taken a solid shit in fucking years. Like, literally, I remember saying that to myself. I'd be like, I can't even believe, like, my body is just rotting.
Yeah.
I was tiptoeing around my apartment when nobody was home, you know, just.
Crack still your drug of choice at this time?
Yeah. So it was, I mean, it was really everything, but like, you know, we started cooking it, And then I got to a point where I was just like, well, I'm gonna fucking waste my time with this shit. I'm just gonna start buying it. And there was a kid named Jumanji in the city, and he would show up and he had, 20 crack rocks in between his lips and his teeth. And, I would just be like, give them all to me, And somehow, some way, I had always had a job in a restaurant. Like I kept a job in a restaurant because my superhuman power in life is connecting with human beings. Like that is, and I know that today, like that is my strength. I am deeply passionate about this, what we're doing right here.
Sure.
This is it for me. I could do this shit all day. And I never knew that was like a skill set, but come to find out now that like it really is, And so in the restaurant world, I had that. And, everybody knew that I was like, Mikey, the bartender, who was just like, you want to party, you come see this dude, And anyway, long story short, I got into pills, and then those pills turned into heroin. And I shacked up with this really beautiful woman who was also into heroin. And we were in her not in her apartment. I mean, we were in her boyfriend's apartment, and
shacked up with the girl.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yep.
And we were in her boyfriend's apartment, and we were using pretty much only heroin at that point. And I remember kind of sitting on the edge of the bed. I was kind of like sitting on the edge of the bed like this, and I was naked, and there was a mirror on the headboard, and I was like sitting there, and I was so high, and I looked over to the right. And I saw my reflection in the mirror. And from my head to my toes, my skin was white like your shirt, like white like paper.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, whoa, that's scary. Like I've never experienced that. Like I looked down at my arms and I was like, oh my God. Like my tattoos were like so bright because everything was white, and there was no blood on the surface of my skin. And I got terrified, and I like jumped up and I stood up, and then boom, face down, like out, and I OD'd.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I OD'd, and I remember kind of like coming to and being like, I don't want to say her name, but I was like, hey, call the ambulance, I'm dying. And she was terrified, so she didn't want to call the ambulance because she's like, oh my God, this dude's gonna die in the house, like this is my boyfriend's house, like, I'm sure all the shit was going through her mind. So she dragged me into the bathroom, and she put me in the bathtub on my back, and turned on the cold water. And the cold water, I can feel it now, like the cold water hitting me in the chest from the shower. And she told me that I was in there for like 20 minutes. I mean, it felt like 20 years, because I guess I died, and was like at the very, very edge of life. And eventually didn't die and came to. And she slowly helped me get back into that bed. And I got under the covers and my body was convulsing. But after about 3 hours, I felt okay, and I feel I'm so lucky, that didn't take me out. If I was using today like I was using then, I would have been dead, like with fentanyl. I mean, it's
Gone.
Yeah. No, there's no chance. I had no chance.
For sure.
No chance. So anyway, I remember leaving that apartment, and it was still like early evening, and it was late July of 2004, and I remember walking west on 13th Street from Avenue B, and I said, dude, you've done it. Like, you are at the bottom of the barrel. Like, you hate your life. You have so much to offer, and this is what you've done. You just fucking died. You have to put a stop to this. You have to figure out a way. It has to happen. Today's the fucking day. Like, you gotta just change. And then 4 hours later, I was using, and I just couldn't do it. I didn't know, I just couldn't do it. And that's when I kind of made a decision where I was like, okay, this is how I'm going to die. Let's like make it go quick, and that 2 weeks before I got sober was like very scary, very scary. I got 86 from every single bar. south of Houston, north of Delancey, east of Allen, and west of Essex. So I was going into bars wanting to kill people, you know, and fighting all the just crazy person, you know, because I went from, it wasn't like, okay, I'm just using heroin now. It was just like, I'm going to do everything, you know, and I was drinking and I was smoking crack and meth and heroin and pills. And it was just like, it was just, you know, crazy. Anyway, it was not like any other, you know, there was nothing like special about this night, but it was a Monday morning and we were on my rooftop in the East Village. I was with two dudes who I typically would run with, and we were probably up for 48 hours or so. And they were like, all right, Mike, we're calling it, man. It's over. We're going home. And I was like, peace. You know, I'm not, you know, I'm still, you know, I've got drugs and I've got, you know, like probably warm beer, warm vodka in my room. And I went downstairs to my apartment, and I remember closing my bedroom door and locking it. And there was a wall mirror right behind my bedroom door. And it was a mirror experience again, you know. And I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and I just like walked over to the mirrors for some reason. And I made eye contact with myself. And I can't remember ever doing that. You know, I do that a lot now. It's like a powerful thing to do. But at that point, I don't remember ever doing that. And I made eye contact with myself, and I was just like, I fucking hate you. You should jump. You should just, like, you've been trying to end it. Like, you live on the 6th floor. Like, you should just fucking do it, dude. And then I blacked out. You know, I blacked out, and I woke up 16 hours later. I slept through work, and I told I called my boss, and I was like, I'm so sorry, Frank. And he was like, Mikey, come down to the restaurant. You know, and I went down, and they were like, look, man, everybody knows you're dying. Like, everybody. You know, I mean, you're not doing a good job of keeping it a secret anymore. And I can't have you here, man. Like, and my job was the only thing that was like tethering me to life, you know? And he was like, I just can't have you here. Like, you got to get your shit together. You're young, you know, you've got a long life ahead of you, but the way you're going, you know, it's going to end soon and bad. And I don't want to do it on my watch. So you got to go. And I literally started crying, and I begged him for my job. And I was like, please, you know, I'll do anything. It's the one thing that I have. And he was like, look, man, if you get sober, you can come to the restaurant at 8:00 in the morning, and you can clean with the porters. If I find out you have a single drink or a single drug, you're out. And I'll find out, you know, because at that point I wasn't good at hiding it, you know. And that was it. It was the last day I drank. Wow. And I made a phone call to a friend who was like an older sister to me, who used to take me in, you know, in my teens when I was really strung out, and she would just, you know, let me crash on her couch. And she would always tell me, I didn't know that she was sober, but she would always tell me, like, there's a way out of this. You know, I know you're young, but there's a way out of this. And I called her. I called Karen. And then she introduced me to her boyfriend, who I had never met, but he was like 10 years older than me, covered in tattoos, sober as fuck, and like living this dope life. And I just didn't know that was a real thing. Like, I just thought, you know, I was like, all right, I'm going to get sober and my life is going to suck. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I'm so used to living this fast paced, like just totally, you know, just gnarly life where nothing good happened. Like, nothing good happened. And for some weird reason, I had an ego about it, you know, like deeply insecure, but this like puffed up, like so much so that I, you know, had no problem just punching people in the face, you know. And so this dude showed up, and he listened to me. He didn't say a fucking word. He was just like, just talk to me, man. And this tough dude, I'm like, this guy wants to hear me talk to him about my shit. And I sat and I spoke to him. He listened to me for like 4 hours, and I'm sure I lied my ass off about everything in my life. You know, I'm sure I told him all sorts of weird shit. But he was like, listen, dude, I'm not going to chase you. I know that I can help you. I'm going to write this thing for you, and I suggest you take the suggestions. You know, I suggest you dive into this thing, because if you do, I promise with all my heart, guarantee that in not a long period of time, you're going to feel not only different, but good. And I was like, all right, tell me what to do, man. You know, he was like, I want you to wake up as early as you can in the morning. And as soon as you get up, I want you to turn around and make your bed. As soon as you make your bed, I want you to go into the bathroom, take a piss, wash your face, brush your teeth, and actually put on your contact lenses, because I was known to like not wear my contacts and be walking around fucking blind. You know, like putting on my contacts or like taking them out before bed was like a big deal for me. And then he goes, as soon as you're done with that, I want you to drop down on your knees and ask God for help. And I don't give a shit if you believe in God, you don't believe in God, call it universe, call it whatever you want. But the brass tacks is you don't know how to ask for help, because your decision making has gotten you here with me. So I want you to start asking for help first thing in the morning. And all you have to know is you're not it. That's it. And then right when you're done with that, I want you to put on a pair of sneakers and get out of your house. And I want you to take a walk or take a jog. If you can, take a walk. It could be a block. It could be 5 blocks. It could be 10 miles. But I just want you to move your body right away. And then when you get home, I want you to make yourself a bowl of oatmeal, a big, fat bowl of oatmeal. And you can add whatever you want to it. You can make it taste any way you want. But oatmeal is easy, it's accessible, it's inexpensive, you can make it taste good, and it's healthy. And you need to start putting wins into your body as opposed to putting losses into your body, which is what you've been doing. So I'm going to give you that like nutritional win in the morning. And then right when you're done with that, you're going to head to this meeting, and you're going to sit in the front row, and you're going to introduce yourself, and you're going to tell them why you're there. And that sounds like this. My name is Michael Chernow. I'm an alcoholic, and you know, and that was basically it. And then he said, and then after you do that, you're not going to say a fucking word. You're just going to sit and listen, and you're going to grin and bear through it. And then when you're done with that, you're going to meet me at the Muay Thai gym. And I'm going to teach you about discipline and humility and commitment. And he said, I'm going to teach you how to be a man. And I'm also going to teach you how to get back up no matter what. And so we're going to train for 2 hours there. And then right when we're done with training, you're going to eat chicken and broccoli. And you can get it from the Chinese store, the Chinese restaurant. You can get it from, you know, eventually you'll start cooking it yourself. But like chicken and broccoli is what I want you to eat for lunch. And then you're going to take a nap. You're going to go to work and have chicken and broccoli again. And
that sounds like my diet.
Yeah, have chicken and broccoli again and go to bed as early as possible. And right before you get into bed, you're going to drop down on your knees and you say, thank you for keeping me sober. And rinse and repeat. That's your life.
You weren't allowed any rice with that broccoli?
No. No, he was just like chicken and broccoli.
Chicken broccoli.
Yeah. And so, you know, that was the beginning of my journey. And very quickly, for whatever reason, I locked in on Muay Thai. And I'm sure it had something to do with the fact that I really, you know, that was like a comfortable thing for me to, you know, get into because of what I was doing in the street.
Yeah.
And within 90 days, you know, I had such a good community around me. I feel blessed. You know, I really had I had a couple of angels, Marcus and Gavin, these two guys that just sort of like came to the rescue. They were like, all right, dude, we're going to wing this kid. And my life changed, you know. And
How old were you right there?
23.
23.
Yeah, I was 23.
Have you been sober ever since?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just celebrated 20 years on August 2nd.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Did you have us both on the camera or what the fuck, man? Like what?
Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
We obviously do a shit ton of podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
that was like a double.
That was not
a
bad.
double.
That was not bad.
And perfect unison, too.
I know,
Like,
right? We're going to have to do a replay on that one.
Yeah, you might have to. Is there any way you can make that happen? That's a good reel.
That's hilarious. That's good for you. No slips, no falls, nothing?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, and honestly, so like anybody who's listening, right? Like I think the crux of the situation is that there's not like maybe a solution. There is a fucking solution. Amen. There is an absolute solution. Like if you're stuck right now and you're like you think that you're this one, you know, like unique snowflake that just fucking, you know, all the sober people are just like, you know, they're the lucky ones. Like, I'm just here to tell you, anybody who's listening to this that's struggling, like, you can get out. Like, the beauty of this thing is, like, how you're feeling right now, you don't ever have to feel that way again. And I know that to be true. Mm-hmm. You guys know that to be true, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I just didn't think that it was possible for me. And then I had structure and I had community. And then the piece that I think is so crucial, it doesn't matter how old you are, what gender you are, how far gone you are, you gotta find a fitness component. Like,
mind, body, soul.
We're all about that part too. Yeah,
it saved and saves my life.
I will say this part about the fitness component, because what happened with me is I got sober at 22 the first time. I had a few slips and falls. I really got into fitness. I forgot about the emotional getting rid of the baggage part. I did steps 1, 2, and 3. Thought I was good. I didn't need to do that step 4 and 5 for
6,
me.
7, or 8, or 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. I'm good.
It's the 1, 2, 3 step.
Yeah.
Process. I remember working out, and my house manager at the sober living I was at, he was like, "You're just working on the body, dude. That's all you're doing." He's like, and you know what? He was right. And I stumbled and I fell a few times, but thank God for the rooms, man. Thank God that I stayed sober the first time for 3 years. And what I learned from that experience was that there was a different way to live. And when I went out, the misery was refunded in full. The first few times I didn't stay out that long, and then I got sober and did the same damn thing and did it for 9 years. Built a life beyond my wildest dream during that 9 years, and then slipped and fell, and I almost didn't make it back. You know, like, God is not done with me, and had, like you said, had fentanyl been out, I would have been donezo. I'm primarily a meth addict, but you know, I like Valium. And if Valium's not around, I'll take any benzo. And if any benzo's not around, I'll do a shot of heroin. You know, but like, you can't even find heroin out here in California. Everything's fentanyl. And if I wanted to buy a Valium or any benzo off the street, it ain't going to be a Valium. It's going to be fentanyl. It's going to look like Valium. It's not going to be Valium.
Well, I'll put it this way. All of my friends from my using days are either sober
or dead.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
There's no one floating. Like, they're all sober or dead.
What about you? What about your boss that gave you the really nudge?
He's definitely not sober. But, you know, somehow that guy's been able to, like, manage his life. Like, he parties, but, you know, he never took it to the levels that I did. I love that man.
For sure.
I'm forever indebted to him.
Do you still have contact with him at all?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
so look, here's the funny part, right? So I get sober and I dive deep into this Muay Thai thing, right? And I'm at this point, and then 8 months into sobriety, so I move. So the first 3 months, I'm like, holy shit, like, my life changes quick, right? Like, my body adapts. I feel good. I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm getting fucking jacked.
Yep.
Like, this is crazy. And it just gave me this confidence, right? And so I'm like, I'm moving to LA again. I'm going to go chase this acting thing. And everybody was like, dude, be easy, bro.
Yeah.
You know, be easy. And I was like, I got this. Moved to LA. And it rained for like 90 days straight in LA. And I was lonely as fuck. I remember I was at a meeting at I think it was Log Cabin or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And there was this dude there that was like some famous person's son who just had like a real, he just rubbed me the wrong way. And I started to feel that kid, you know, that couldn't control his temper show up. And he like walked towards me, and it was a packed house, and then he just stopped in front of me and just turned his back and stood right with his back right in my face. and I just went off, and it was not good. And I left. I walked out of there, and this dude Jimmy came after me, and I had never met this dude, but he was like, "Yo, dude, it's okay. Everybody hates that dude. Like, it's all right. Don't beat yourself up, man. You know?" And he's one of my greatest friends today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, every time I'm in LA, we smoke a cigar together. I love that dude.
Jimmy or the actor guy?
Jimmy. No, the actor guy. I might still knock that dude out. But
Do you know who he is? That guy?
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, I moved back to New York with my tail between my
How
legs.
long were you here for?
3 months.
Okay.
In and out. I was like, all right,
90
I'm
days,
out
and
of
you're
here.
like, I'm out.
I'm out. But it was a blessing. The one thing that happened to me while I was here that I'm grateful for is, I started running because this dude told me I gotta run every day. So I was running every morning, and I was living in Los Feliz, but I would drive to the beach and I would run along the beach every morning. And then I do this 5-mile run, and I get back into my car, immediately light a cigarette.
Oh, that was that was me.
Yeah, immediately. I'm
Nuts.
like, boom, go
Nuts.
for a long run.
She's still vaping while she runs right now. She'll be
I
pulling
have
it out of her
no,
pocket.
No, I'm not.
Well, I mean, I'm a
Hater.
Zenster. But
You guys are still addicted to nicotine?
unfortunately, I'm not smoking, but I'm
I have
on
the
the
patch.
Zen.
Me
I'm
too.
on
What do you mean the
Zen.
patch? You have Zen or Zen.
That is definitely my downfall.
It's the isn't it
Pouches?
Pouches, yeah.
Yep.
I
I'm
love
thinking
the Zen.
about. You know what? I'm
Vaping,
going
no.
back to vaping.
Nope.
Don't go back to vaping.
Nope.
Do Zen. At least it's at
And
least
at
you're not
least
putting shit.
it's just nicotine and not all.
There's no
That's what I
tobacco.
tell
It's
myself.
you know what I and
doesn't
this is
cause
my addict.
cancer?
Like I justify it. I'm
Me too.
it's like the thing
Me
I
too.
do. You know.
I'm like,
Does
it
it
helps you
cause cancer,
focus.
Emily?
Like,
Totally.
you know.
I'm about to put one in my mouth. But anyway, so I remember after a good long run, I run from basically Windward Circle all the way out to I forgot what it was, but it was a deep run. I mean, I put in 8-9 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And for me at those days, that was a deep run.
Yeah.
And I get back and I light a cigarette and I'm like, man, my fucking chest. And I was like, one last drag. That's it. Done.
That was it?
Quit. That was it. And so LA allowed me to quit smoking cigarettes. I have not, that's not true. I've had a few cigarettes since then, but I don't smoke cigarettes.
Right.
And then I moved back to New York and I got a job at Frank Restaurant again. Frank took me right back in. And one night I'm bartending and this girl walks in the bar with another really beautiful girl and these two dudes. And it was a really happening spot that I worked at. And so there was always beautiful girls, but there was just something about this girl. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, way beyond my pay grade, no chance. But I was just beautiful, you know?